Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill are back at it again, and this time they have sent fierce statements towards each other about their manners of racing in the last elimination race in Martinsville. While many are quick to label this as a racing incident and a heat-of-the-moment situation, reality says otherwise, and Creed had no right to do what he did. According to many NASCAR experts and analysts, the entire world is certainly angry with how his actions prevented both him and his teammate from participating in the Championship 4, and this will have massive consequences for Creed's post-RCR career in the Xfinity Series. Be that as it may, was this the last straw that Richard Childress could have put up with, and is this the downfall of Creed's career? The entire NASCAR world was entertained by hard racing from both RCR drivers, Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill, during the last race of the round of 8 in Martinsville. However, this was everything but good news for the RCR fans and the team, as the accident prevented both Creed and Hill from entering the Championship 4, with Justin Allgaier from JR Motorsports winning the event. What is even more painful for RCR is the fact that the incident happened in the final 2 laps of the race, as both of the drivers started side by side ahead of the field, with Hill taking the lead from Creed. But the number 2 Camaro driver then bumped Hill out of the way in a bid to win the race, and paradoxically enough, he failed in his attempt to do so. So this is actually the first reason why this move is not justified. He failed to serve his mission. If you are going to be the man of the race, and if you're going to do actions like Ty Gibbs did last year at the same place, then you ought to finish what you have already started. Even though Gibbs was already qualified for the Championship 4, he made sure that he would win one more, and in order to do that, he had to kick Brandon Jones out of the big picture, something that caused fierce reactions all over the internet and the NASCAR world. Regardless, he completed his mission, and while his comparison to Black Jesus was a bit too far, at least he did what he had to do in his own head, and he justified his goal. On the other hand, Creed's actions were kind of pitiful, and they resulted in a lot more backlash than positivity from the NASCAR experts. Not only was this the last race in RCR, but it seems like no other team will actually accept Creed as a serious candidate to win races in the Xfinity Series and potentially carry over a huge load on his back after the crash in Martinsville. That is an issue that JGR would have to deal with in the upcoming season because, right now, the fans' opinion of Sheldon is as low as it could possibly be. However, there are some fans who believe that the racing incident was one that Hill should not have created a lot of drama about, and if he was faster, he would have prevailed in the fight. One fan wrote on Twitter, "So glad Sheldon Creed is leaving Richard Childress Racing. He deserves far better. Hope he gets a ride with #Toyota Racing." Other fans called Austin Hill a liar after his controversial interview with Dale Earnhardt Jr. as they analyzed the entire situation and said that Creed had nothing to lose, while Hill could have just run second and both of them would have qualified in the Final 4. But fans do believe that Hill is actually the golden boy of RCR, a reason that Creed stated on his own, and said that this is probably one of the reasons why he is leaving the team, so it would be the easiest to just put all the blame on his end. And even the team president of RCR had a lot of issues with how Creed made the move, so this is something that Creed has obviously stated in an interview, as he couldn't cope with the fact that there is a favorite driver on his team and there is nothing much he can do about it. During his interview with Dustin Albino, Creed said, "He was just mad at how I raced the number 21, but roles reversed, they don't say anything. Probably the reason that I'm leaving. Obviously they're going to be mad, but I felt like I got him up above the bottom and I gave him a chance to finish second or third." But what is the explanation from Creed's side for his move? He is definitely one of the hot shots in the Xfinity Series right now, and going into JGR, he would have to tame his character a lot more if he wants to be considered a solid runner-up for the championship in the upcoming years. And when talking about this matter with Bob Pockrass, Creed said, "I pushed Hill up off the bottom, but I didn't dirty him up. I didn't spin him out, and I gave him a chance to finish second. Had I got in there and wrecked him like Ty did to Brandon Jones last year, different story." Yet the culprit of the story is Sheldon Creed, and we cannot do anything to change it, as the general opinion is divided between whether or not he had the right to do so, and whether or not Hill should have lifted and avoided this accident, as his teammate had nothing to lose. Be that as it may, Austin is not happy with how the entire result unfolded for him in his championship run, as he went on to say, "The fact that I wasn't given a chance, and then when we showed up the racetrack, I haven't seen the replays getting the number 3, but when he won at that racetrack, racetrack, he just parked in the center of the corner, and I had no power coming off the 4. I cannot wait for him to get out of RCR. I can't wait to have Jesse Love as a teammate. Maybe he'll work better with me. Just cannot wait for him to get over Joe Gibbs Racing, and I don't have to put up with that no more. It is safe to say that it was the most turbulent 2 years that Creed could have imagined with RCR, and while he will have a massive burden on his shoulders in the upcoming year to try to prove that he is the top dog in the Xfinity Series, he won't be alone in his mission. That is something that we'll have to wait for and to see how it unfolds. But according to Andy Petrie, the vice president of RCR, the racing from Creed should have started before the corner and not right off the last corner. Elaborating on the matter further, Petrie said, "The problem I had was that they didn't race off the last corner. Why can't you just race him off the corner? If he just raced off the corner, he wins, and I have no problem at all. It was actually a really good finish. But that last little move is what I was frustrated with. Now both cars are out of a chance to race for the championship." But this is just the beginning. Richard Childress labeled Creed as the stupidest driver that has ever driven for him, and when talking about this situation, the owner of RCR didn't hide his disappointment, as he said, "I've had drivers drive for me before, but nobody as stupid as Sheldon Creed. You don't do that as a team player. What else do you want me to tell you?" There's also a valid point that we could make about the leadership of RCR, as Kyle Petty is the one who brought this question into existence. Kyle believes that there shouldn't be any team racing, labeling himself as the fiercest hater of it. And the only reason why this happened is because the team didn't have enough authority over both of the drivers. Yes, Hill might be the golden boy, and Creed was definitely labeled as the stupidest driver to have ever raced for RCR, but all of that just goes to prove Petty's point. It's a dysfunctional team that had no control over both of its drivers, and the fact that it was Creed who caused the entire incident only goes to add more fuel to the fire. Elaborating on this matter to a further extent, Petty said, "All they had to do was finish first and second. Let Sheldon win the race, and Austin Hill run second. Richard Childress goes to Phoenix with 2 shots at the championship. The way it turned out, he got no shot at the championship. And I put it back on Richard Childress and Andy Petrie. Team leadership." With all this in mind, do you think that it was Sheldon Creed's fault for the way things turned out in Martinsville, or do you take Petty's side and feel the authority of the team is definitely under a massive question mark, hence the intra-team battles? Let us know in the comments below.